That is Adam Lee, the Dead Horse Sound Company, Holy Roller. And indeed, I'm trying to roll holy. I'm trying to be a holy roller. I'm trying to roll holy only. And in no darkness is my great delight. It is my great delight to honor the Lord in all that I can do. And yesterday was talking about ways in which to do that. And that had specifically to do with, what was yesterday? Yesterday was, sex to live by. So today is more just words to live by, kind of dealing with, if you've ever wanted to know how to be good. You know, how do I be good? Or even, you might have said sarcastically or literally, what is good? Yeah, what's good anyway? I am so happy to answer that question. And really, I think it's one of the fundamental questions of human existence. Is it not? What is righteous? What is unrighteous? Because in this world that we live in, it always has been, it seems as though everything is permissible in that everybody does whatever they want. They're punished for it by certain legal structures or what have you, but even only if they're caught and even if they can't pay their way out. And it's funny because you think of that, I've always thought of that as somehow like it's such a new problem of an industrialized era, you know. But no, that problem's been around forever. And again, all these laws, just like yesterday, all these laws that God laid out that we might be holy and righteous and beautiful, were said because people were doing the opposite all over the place. There's nothing new under the sun. So Leviticus 19 I was in, and I've tried to like sum up and categorize the sort of three main categories in which God offered his covenant people sort of explanation or what's the word? A stretching out, a more fuller explanation of what the Ten Commandments were kind of all about. And if you have done any of these things in an improper fashion, well, yippee hallelujah, because the first 16 or 15 verses in Leviticus were all about how to heal that brokenness, how to go from darkness to light. So there is always the possibility of light at the end of the tunnel. Not in your own self-governance, sadly, but, or not so sadly. The beginning of Leviticus 19, it says, "This is for you in my glory." God does all things to his glory, but he invites us to be part of that. Invites us to be part of the divine light, the divine spark that created the very universe and made all good things to be. That's pretty wonderful. I think it's quite a sweet little offering there. And I say little sarcastically. Here's what he says about relationship between man and God. "You shall be holy as the Lord your God is holy. Worship only the God of the universe, Yahweh, the Creator, the Messiah, the Lord. Don't turn to idols or worship statues and carvings. Don't worship dead things. Worship a live God." Makes perfect sense. "Use the name of God in reverence and praise and thanksgiving, not for false oaths or in profane usage. Make peace offerings of your own free will only, with a posture of inward reverence and esteem, outward respect and obedience. Do not eat your peace offering," which is meat in these days, "do not eat it on the third day or after of that sacrifice." And I think that's possibly because it'll be spoiled by then, and that sucks for everybody. "Walk in faith and in the spirit of holy God only, not practicing divination or soothsaying or interacting with mediums and spirits familiars, as they are spirits of darkness and they are defilers of holiness." In conclusion of that section, "Keep my statutes. Do as the I am. Then there's a whole section on neighbors and others. Here's how you should treat other people. This is not relative morality, this is actually the truth of the universe. This is great, right? Just truth. This is so fun. "Speak the truth only, leaving other people's things to their own possession, and also being honest in weights, measurements, and in all dealings of business. Be honest only. Be just in judgment, showing no partiality to any persons, specifically also of wealth or influence." And it says, in quotes, "in righteousness, you shall judge your neighbor. Do not be a gossip. Stand for, not against, the life of your neighbor. You shall, quote, you shall surely rebuke your neighbor and not bear sin because of him. Because you do not hate your brother in your heart. Christ even spoke that indeed is the heart of murder. Do not take vengeance nor bear any grudge, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I love all these things because this includes strangers. The stranger shall be as one born among you, and you shall love them as yourself. That, I think, is actually, historically speaking, in the time he was speaking, probably one of the biggest ones to do with other people. Because in more tribal, smaller organized societies, from a people to a people, they could behave however they wanted. You would treat your own people well, and if you did terrible things in your own town, your own city, your own tribe, you'd be punished. But an outsider was like chattel, you know? An outsider was to be used however you want. If you were hungry and you had some gruel and you forgot your bowl, it'd be perfectly legitimate to go to somebody from another tribe, kill them, chop their head, and use the top of their skull as your bowl for your gruel, and no one would really be bummed out because they're not your people, so who cares? But God says, love strangers, enemies even, Christ said, as yourself. It's powerful love. It is not indulgent love, it is powerful and beautiful love. Then it gets into sexual stuff again. Do not have sex with other people's concubines. Don't know if that's really relevant to us nowadays, other than the fact that sort of having sex, sort of the adultery thing, having sex with anyone else's betrothed, either now or in the future, same thing. Sacrifice shall have to be made to atone for this. Whether or not your daughter wants to become a prostitute, do not make or let her. Maybe love her instead. Revere your mother and father and keep the Sabbath. Rise before the gray-headed and honor the old, which I think is just sweet. I do that with ladies, but I don't know if I do it with gray-haired folks. Gray-haired folks are harder to find here in Los Angeles, but hopefully in the rest of the world they're not pretending they're something that they're not and lying with their hair dye. With the earth there are rules as well. These are simpler ones, but leave corners and gleanings in your field during harvest. Don't harvest your field fully, which we know is actually just practical farming, but also leave it for the poor amongst you who don't have their own fields. Let your livestock breed with other animals of the same kind, but not other ones. Blasphemy, which we also know can lead to infertility, so that's practical, as well as God has a lot of laws for his covenant people in this time that they might be very visibly separate in all of their dealings, and even visually, that they are a people set apart from the whole world, just as we now can come and be set apart from the darkness and brokenness of the whole world. Do not sow your field with mixed seed. We also know that's practical farming, as well as a symbol of mixing. In a new land, when you plant trees, wait 3 years or seasons before you eat of it. This is a symbol of patience. It's good for the trees, again, and it'll be a demonstration of your faith, of God's provision and your peace and ease before other men who will be like, what do you mean? Just eat it. You never know when it's going to go. And you're like, yes, we know. We will be provided for. And then these are the things specifically. This leads me into that whole set apart section and how God was asking his people to be set apart. Some of these things are still applicable, but Christ has made it that the temple that used to exist outside exists within. So we are now to be set apart in our very bearing and demeanor and in the very spirit of our eternal souls before men. So, but this is how he was speaking to his covenant peoples at the foundation of this thing. Eat only foods and meat absent of blood. Sounds delicious. Do not wear a garment of mixed linen and wool. Anybody who knows what in the heck that's about, other than the symbol of mixing, please let me know. Leave the sides of your hair and beard alone. No problem. Do not worship and revere the dead by cutting your flesh or tattooing for them. This is obviously a practice of cultures all around them, or else I don't know why it would be mentioned, because I don't know who does that necessarily anymore. Honor the Sabbath and revere the presence of the Lord. He spoke specifically of sanctuary in this Leviticus verse, but the presence of the Lord is really throughout the earth and within those who have fallen upon the eternal sacrifice of Christ in him. All these rules are here to not only teach us about the character of God, teach us how to behave righteously. What is righteousness? Don't we always want to know? And it's so relative from person to person if you follow the principles of like human beings are God. And 3, how to be part and parcel to the holiness and glory of God. So it actually fulfills the ruination of the second one, which is like we want to be God. God's like, well, you're never going to be God, but come and be part of me. And this is how to do it. It's so much, and then it also, of course, let's stick a little fourth in there, and then it also provokes you to go, well, I've done some of those things, but I'm not a bad person. It depends what you mean by bad person, but yes, you are, because we all are. It's also here to provoke you in that to rile up your self-governance. To go, nobody's going to tell me what to do. Well, he already did, and he's doing it every day, and he's doing it, as he said, that you would be holy. He's not doing it to punish anybody. He's doing it that you might avoid punishment. And I'm speaking it now because that's all I want for you, is that you would avoid punishment for darkness, for iniquity, that you would choose life. Choose life and light and all that it brings. Peace, love, and power to conquer yourself. Amen and Selah.
Done!